Today on the podcast, we are featuring the Brooklyn-based composer, producer, and drummer-guitarist Sickpay. Learn more about him and listen to his track, Quiet as a Joke.
Welcome to the Eat, Sleep, Breathe Music podcast, where we talk all things music. I'm your host, Jeanette Kinzel, music blogger and enthusiast. Let's get started with today's episode.
Just popping in to give you a heads up. This podcast contains paid promotional content. That means we were compensated for the feature. All opinions are our own, and we only choose to represent music that we truly dig. Now on with the show. Hey everyone, welcome to the Eat, Sleep, Breathe Music podcast. I'm your host, Jeanette Kinzel. For those of you just joining us, this is the podcast where I talk about different musicians and how their music affects me, and then I play a track for you to listen to, so you can check it out and form your own opinion as well. And I'd love to know what you think of the track if you're so inclined to do so. So if you are interested in sharing your thoughts on this track and the artist, I'll have details at the end of the show where you can leave your comments. So today I'm talking about the Brooklyn-based composer, producer, and drummer-guitarist Sickpay. So Sickpay is actually the moniker of the Brooklyn-based artist Mike Birnbaum. And while it seems like this is his first solo punk rock project, Birnbaum, it seems to be a very accomplished musician. And before, I guess, starting his own thing, he had a lot of roots in punk rock music, and seems like he was playing in a lot of punk rock bands in high school, and he had basically said it was kind of like this gradual descent into making my own punk music. He said he's been in rock bands since high school, and for some reason the band history has gotten punkier with time. He was in a couple bands, by one band called 2 Ton Bug from 2010 to 2011, and then he was asked to play drums with Juicebox in 2012, and then until recently, and then that kind of led him also to playing with the band Waves, and then his girlfriend was selling merch for this band Leftover Crack and other notorious New York bands. He was saying he doesn't know if it's something that he was drawn to or if, it just came naturally, but just being part of this punk community, it kind of just seemed natural for him to pick up a guitar and start playing punk music. I couldn't find too much on his background. I couldn't really find more about when he started, but regardless, he's here and he's making music, and he's got a cool sound, and it seems like it was kind of the pandemic that also kind of inspired this punk rock album, and this album in particular. Yeah, so the track that I'm going to be playing today is actually the first track off of his 5-song EP, and it's called Quiet as a Joke, and the EP is entitled Pureocracy, and that's out now via Alien Body Music. So basically, yeah, it's available now. It came out earlier this year. Like I said, I know sometimes I'm kind of behind with music, but this is just a hobby for me, and I just like to talk about things that that come across my desk, and anything that kind of stands out, or something that's ooh, this is interesting to me. I like to kind of feature and just talk about. So, forgive me if I'm late to the party with this. I'm not 100 always on track with things. It seems like the album Pureocracy was kind of inspired by the pandemic, and it's got these a lot of what was it's being referred to as having these aesthetic anthems for our era. The album was recorded in a small Brooklyn studio, and I'd have to say that I feel like the whole album is pretty impactful. I was having trouble just kind of picking one song to feature, because honestly, I would have featured all of them, but I feel like that would have been too time consuming. And I do recommend listening to other tracks aside from this. The thing that's really neat is that even though he still has his roots kind of in punk rock, it's there's a lot of other, at least to me, there's a lot of other musical elements that seem to come into play. I feel it would be more rock than just straight up punk, in my opinion. I think it doesn't have all of that heavy hitting, just punk rock, it's got a lot of different versatility and different types of music, and it's I would say it's more rock, and especially this song in particular, Quiet as a Joke. it kind of brings to mind a lot of the 90s rock bands that I used to listen to. You know, there's parts of it that remind me of Weezer. There's parts of it that remind me of, like, you know, I can't think of the band specifically, but it's just like that angsty kind of like, you know, kind of like, not like whiny guitar sounds, but it's just got this like enticing like music to me. And the lyrics, you know, the lyrics are serious lyrics. And, you know, it could probably be interpreted different ways, but it almost seems like the song's kind of about, like, you know, this relationship that they don't want to let go of, you know, and it just seems like it's kind of like this person is struggling with, like, being alone, and it's very meaningful, and it's cool because, you know, if you want to just listen to the music, you know, you can get something out of the music, and then if you want to listen to the lyrics, you can get something more out of the lyrics. But yeah, I really do like this artist, and I think he has a lot of like versatility and a lot of like depth, and you know, just a very varied sound. And I think it's interesting. I think, you know, some people think about punk rock and they think like it can only be one thing, but I feel like he's bringing a lot to the table with this music. And again, I do recommend listening to the whole album. I mean, there's only 5 songs, so, you know, you can listen through pretty quickly because each song is less than 4 minutes long. So, you know, put it on in the background and just kind of like immerse yourself in this music and how different he is. Another thing that's interesting about Mike Birnbaum is that he actually has another moniker that he goes by. It's called D Gookin, and that's DGOOKIN, and that music's all like electronica and reggae. And it really just shows like the prowess and the talent and the versatility and like, you know, all of the different things that he can do. He's, you know, not only skilled at like writing and producing rock music, but he's also skilled at producing electronic music. And I was digging into some of his stuff on his Bandcamp page, and I was really liking that too. I mean, I like electronic, I like dance. I feel like I'm almost like too much, and I don't know, like sometimes I'm like, I just like everything. But, you know, I think, you know, he does have a cool sound. And so if you're not into punk music, he also offers something else for you to listen to. And I think his music has gotten like millions of listens on Spotify. So he's definitely, you know, someone who is doing well in the electronic music. And it's just really cool how, this is the thing that always like just like amazes me about musicians, is how they can be so talented and do so many different types of music. And it's just neat to see that, you know, someone can like be so varied with their music and the music that they make. And if you're curious and you're wondering like what type of artist he would fall in line with, he has said to resonate with fans of bands Drive Like Jehu. I don't know if I'm saying that right. It's Jehu, Lightning Bolt, Floor, Waves, and Leftover Crack. And he's also been referred to as straddling modern rock and lo-fi hypnagogic pop. Now, hypnagogic pop was a genre that was new to me, so I looked it up on Wikipedia, and it said that it's described as a psychedelic music evoking cultural memory and nostalgia for the past, typically the 70s to 90s, according to Wikipedia. Personally, I could see that with the 90s vibe that this song has going on, but I don't know if I would necessarily classify this as like any psychedelic elements. I mean, to me, it doesn't really have like trippy guitars or other like music melodies that would fall in line of like the psychedelic variety, at least in my opinion. But I mean, I would agree that it does have those elements of the past, because it does have this like quintessential 90s rock vibe. When it opens, the first thing I think of is grunge and like flannel shirts, and I don't know, it has this like whole like 90s feel to it, which is really cool. And I think it also has like these aggressive chords, but also, like, as I said before, like whiny guitars, but, you know, everything kind of comes together so well. And another thing I wanted to mention was that you can tell his musical prowess is being revered with all the features that he's been getting from like the blogosphere. You know, he's gotten write-ups in Farsighted Blog, Rock at Night, That Music Mag, Obscure Sound, Music Mayhem Magazine, Breaking and Entering, Screen Religion, We Are YMX, Tattoo.com, Metal Center. And I thought that was interesting that he was being featured on a metal site because, you know, it's not necessarily metal that his music is, but he's getting revered for, you know, his talent, which was cool. He's also been in The Big Takeover, Infrared Magazine, and Peace Musical Love. And I will leave links to these articles in the show notes if you want to read up more about him and features that he has been in. But yeah, so I really enjoy listening to his music, and I would say, in addition to this song, check out his other music, and I can leave links to where you can find that, so you don't have to do all the research on your own. If you're someone who likes band merchandise, he has this cool T-shirt, this black T-shirt with like the title of this song, and I can leave a link to that in the show notes as well. But with that, I think I've talked your ear off enough, and now I will play the song. So without further ado, here is "Quiet as a Joke" for your listening enjoyment. We would love to know what you think about Sickpay and his track, Quiet as a Joke. You can tell us in a comment on the podcast webpage. You can also leave an audio comment at the link in the episode summary. For more information on Mike Birnbaum, check out his Bandcamp pages, www.sickpay.bandcamp, that is sickpay.bandcamp.com. He also has more music at www.ggukin.bandcamp.com. That is DGOOKIN.BANDCAMP.com. You can also follow him on Instagram and his personal page, Biggleboy, that is BVGLEBOI, and his music page at the handle Sickpay with 2 Ys. That is SICKPAYY. If you're a Twitter user, you can follow him at the handle DGookin. That is DGOOKIN. If you're looking for more new music, be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you will get the latest updates on our artist features. You can also find more music features on our website at www.eatsleepbreathemusic.com. That is EATSLEEPBREATHEMUSIC.com. Thanks for listening and see you in the next episode.
Thanks so much for listening to the Eat, Sleep, Breathe Music podcast. To find new music and learn more about what we do, you can check out our website at www.eatsleepbreathemusic.com.